We have a couple of other things to take care of before the representatives, so I'll go ahead and get started.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and call us to order. Welcome, everyone. My name is Sonia Lang. I'm the co-president of Rolando Park Community Council. Okay, so we'll start off with our letting you know that our meeting minutes are posted on the rolandopark.org website. In addition to, if you noticed as you logged in, were invited in, that this meeting is recorded. Okay. Dues and memberships, Cheryl.
Okay, we have 23 members for a total of $288 in dues. That's $179.42 in donations for a total of $467.42 for the year. And that gives us 18 renewals and 5 new members.
Nice, nice. Okay. All right, moving along. Community updates, Lynn.
Thanks, Sonia. I'm just going to share my screen. Bunch of small, quick updates tonight. First, we want to thank everyone who showed up last month for the Xena Canyon cleanup. We had more than 40 volunteers. We had Girl Scouts, we had fraternity members from San Diego State, but we had an awful lot of people from the community. So thank you everyone that showed up. And I wish Terry Hoskins was here, because I would specifically like to thank Terry for coming and staying for the entire cleanup. I just want to hear about that. And
okay.
Maybe somebody could mute themselves. Yeah. Okay. So it was a very successful cleanup. What you see in the dumpster is about half of what we collected. So very happy with our turnout and the effort. So happy that I Love a Clean San Diego contacted us last week and asked us if we would like to participate in a second cleanup of the canyon. They do one that's going to be focused on canyons in Mid-City. It's called the Sunset Sweep, and they're actually we'll set it up on June 9th. It's in the afternoon, 4 to 6 p.m. So if you're interested, we will have this information up on our website. We'll be promoting it on Nextdoor, our Facebook page, all of the usual social media spots. So again, that's next month. So to follow that, next Tuesday, we're doing the first of 2 fundraisers for the Community Council. Thanks to Michelle Alexander for setting this up for us. This will be from 12 to 8 on Tuesday. If you go to Woodstocks or order, 25% up to 25% of the profits will go to us. So please consider ordering pizza and help us out a little bit, okay? So,
mention RPCC when you order.
Yes, we'll have all this information up on our website and everything, but if you just mention it's a fundraiser for Rolando Park Community Council, they'll give us credit for it. Thanks, Cheryl. I forgot the important stuff. And on to yet another social. Next month, this is our last formal meeting tonight until September. Next month, we're going to have our annual ice cream social. This year, it's going to be in the new joint use park. It'll be from 6:30 to 8. We'll have a better map here soon, but we noticed at our plant exchange that many people still don't know where the new park is. So when you come into the school on Marlowe, you're going to stay to the right and you go past the Head Start building here, the one that was on fire last summer. And if you go through this gate, you're in the new parking lot, and the gate to get into the park is on the left as you come in from the parking lot, and we'll be set up right there. It's open to the community. Please feel free to bring your kids, bring your family. It's just a fun thing that we like to do to start the summer, okay? And on even more good news, we are tentatively planning to resume in-person meetings starting in September. And we're saying tentative because last year we thought we would be starting in September and we had a surge and that was locked down again. So we're saying tentative now, but right now it looks good. We've reserved our space at the auditorium with the school. And these will be hybrid meetings to allow anyone who can't attend or doesn't want to attend in person can join online and participate, okay? And what else? Some follow-up from last month's presentation on the bikeway. We've talked with the project manager from Sandag. We're doing a little follow-up about possibly getting trees on University and a better understanding about who's going to be resurfacing University as a result of the construction. We're waiting for some people to respond, so look for an update at the September meeting about that, okay? Thanks. And last, we've had several issues at the park lately, and if you see things, please feel free to email Dave Lee, our area manager from the park division, and let him know what's going on. Sometimes the patrol doesn't open the gates on time. We've had the doggy poo bag taken down on both fields multiple times now. I believe it's almost anchored to the fence at this point. But please, I'm going to put this information in the chat. But if you see issues there, I did hear from a neighbor that there was drinking going on in the parking lot one night. We have an issue with the parking lot lights, which have been out for several weeks now. So if you see issues, please report them, okay? Let's stay on top of it. That's all I have.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Lynn. All right. Okay, so we'll move on to any public comments for non-agenda items. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes. And you can go ahead and start speaking or raise your hand if you know how to use the hand raising portion. So any comments? Okay, I see Jennifer Bennett.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to, again, I already came to a farmer meeting to let you guys know that Redwood Village is starting up their community council again, and we'll be having our meeting next Monday at 7 p.m. So if you all want to get on our email, maybe you can put your email in the chat and I will jot it down. That's all. Thanks.
Great. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Right. Anyone else?
Carl's got his hand up.
Okay.
I was just wondering if there's any update on the underground for electrical and utilities in the southern part.
I just looked at the map the other day, Carl, and it does show that the city is supposed to be done with the design part of the undergrounding by next summer. And then it has a construction date of 2028. What I don't know is if 2028 is the start of construction or the end of construction. So I will send an email off and I'll report back on that for you. But I do know that that section south of Marlow is the next phase that will be done. That's it's a wide area. I'll put a map up in the fall to show you, but yeah, that area is the next phase. The area off Billman, Newsom, in that area was allocated last year, but that will probably take almost 10 years, I think. I'm not sure. Okay. Yeah, it's a long process.
Yes. Any other public comments, questions?
Sonia, actually, I wanted to ask Lynn to follow up on that undergrounding, if you can also ask them when they're going to have the meetings for community input.
Public, yeah. I believe, yeah, if they're going to be designing, they should be asking the community pretty soon what we'd like. So yeah, I will find out. I'll try again to find out. Okay, thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Any other comments? All right, I don't see any hands. All right, well, thank you. All right, so moving on to our community reports. So the first person that popped in was Matt Griffith from Mayor Todd Gloria's office. Welcome, Matt.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. I'll be brief, but just wanted to highlight a few things. As many of you know, or may have known, we are in budget season, and the mayor has presented his proposed budget for fiscal year 2023. It is what we're calling our Ready to Rebuild budget. Has key focuses on repairing our aging infrastructure. As you see, this is our largest infrastructure investment in city history. Forgive me, the budget actually is 4.89 billion. So I do apologize for not giving that figure. In addition to areas of focus, we're looking to improve the speed and quality of services that are being provided to our residents, enforcing the regulations such as our sidewalk vending ordinance, along with our short-term rental ordinance, enhancing the pay and facilities for our public safety employees, so that's San Diego Police Department, fire, and lifeguards, along with continuing key investments to address homelessness and ensuring the competitive employee compensation. Areas I'd like to highlight are housing and homelessness. So we have a total funding for homelessness services at 63.3 million. 2/3 of that are coming from state and federal grants. $4.3 million are added to existing efforts to address homeless encampments. So that's bringing, so for example, when you're submitting a report for a homeless encampment via Get It Done, the turnaround time right now, I believe, is 60 days. So this is helping the efforts move down to 45 days. In addition to that, 13.6 million increasing shelter capacity, services, and the coordinated street outreach. Around infrastructure, this budget includes 8.8 million to prepare for our major stormwater infrastructure using low interest federal loans. Of that, about 4.1 million for pump station repairs and maintenance, another 4.1 million for additional street sweeping services, and 1.4 million being used to educate our residents on how to avoid common inadvertent pollution. One other area I'd like to highlight for our public safety, again, we're currently in contract negotiations with public safety bargaining units for PD, fire, and lifeguards. The proposed budget anticipates salary increases that will be included in the final budget. Police department is fully funded at 584 million with increased funding for police overtime. And then lastly, around our neighborhood services, we have an additional $4.3 million going to park and recreation, and that is dedicated to recruitment. As many of you may know, that department is extremely understaffed. As you may have seen it when you go to some of our parks with the trash, bathrooms, and again, just lack of programming at some of our recreation centers, again, due to staffing. So that 4.3 million is being targeted directly towards recruitment, training of staff, and then also converting hourly staff to salary positions. Just some dates that I want to highlight for the group regarding the budget. So May 16th is the full council hearing, again, allowing individuals to call in or attend in person to provide their public comment. Then the 17th of May, the mayor releases the May revise. So again, right now, between that time, now May 16th, I would advise any and all to advocate for anything that they may see that might have been left out of the budget or certain areas that you'd like to highlight within the budget that will affect your community. Make sure you're reaching out to your council office. After May 17th, on May 27th, the council has their modification priority memos, which are due. The 8th of June, IBA releases their final report, and then on the 13th, their council budget hearing and final modifications with the budget going to the mayor's desk to sign into law. That pretty much summarizes everything that I wanted to present to this group. I can take any questions on the information I provided, or if there's anything else that I should be made aware of. Again, thank you so much for letting me come and present to you guys tonight.
Thank you, Matt. Anybody have any questions? Love having all that information. Thank you.
And I will also be putting the budget in the chat so that anyone can go ahead and take a deeper dive. Again, if there's any questions that come up while you're overviewing the budget, feel free to reach out. I'll also have my contact information in the chat. And lastly, I would also I apologize on not presenting this information. This is regarding Get It Done. I just want to again reemphasize the utilization of Get It Done. If you haven't already downloaded the app, please do so. That is on Apple and Android. along with the webpage. The reason for that is we're actually adding a new department to get it done. Our Parks and Recreation will be added to get it done. So the tentative date is summer. We don't have a hard date yet, as the department itself is getting acclimated to get it done. We don't want to have them get overwhelmed with all the reports as we're trying to fully staff them as well. But I wanted to make sure this group was aware, as you'll start to see anything happen in the park, pretty much how Lynn was saying, we see lights that are out, gates that aren't open or closed, excess trash, things like that. We're going to be making sure that those can be reported via Get It Done, and the proper staff members in our Park and Recreation Department will be able to attend to those matters. So just wanted to announce that to the group. That's something that will be coming forth on Get It Done. So be on the lookout for that. And when it does drop, feel free to go ahead and send those reports. And if anything is not getting answered or closed in a timely fashion, feel free to go ahead and elevate that to me so I can expedite it and make sure we're addressing that. But again, I can take any questions.
Well, that's good to know. I'll get it done, because putting parks and recreation on there, that's great.
Sonia, I have one quick question for Matt. Matt,
Right.
do you have any updates yet on the street light repair timeline? I thought that it was running at least 6 months or longer. Is that?
So the timeline, and Lynn, thank you for that question. The timeline does vary. We have done now our data-driven approach tackling the streetlights.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually have seen a almost 30% increase in productivity when we started our data-driven approach. What we're doing now is utilizing, again, the information on Get It Done to locate some of those streetlights that are still out. So I can't give a definitive timeline on when these streetlights are being addressed, because they're being addressed more so, for example, if there happens to be 4 streetlights that are out in a certain geographical location, those will be addressed in bulk versus individual streetlights. So what I would suggest, or what I would ask, is if you have some streetlights that you've seen that are out, and you've already submitted those via Get It Done, feel free to send me those case numbers or report numbers so that I can follow up and see where they are in the queue for our team.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I reported one about 6 months ago, but I'm going to survey the community first and see if there are any others that I'm not aware of, and then I will send you a list. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Matt? Okay, well, thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. You stopping in.
Of course, and if I could, just to clarify, I believe I heard Lynn, you were saying that we're going to be going dark until September, and then in September, meetings will be in person with a hybrid element?
Yes.
Okay.
Providing we don't have a surge at the end of the summer like we did last year. Yes.
Fingers and toes are crossed. Yes, yes. We'll probably put some oil out and say a few prayers or something so we don't see that surge happen again.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing everyone in person when that does. If you could just provide me that information as we get closer.
Sure.
So we can, because I know it's a lot right now where you have half the meetings in person, other half on Zoom, and so I just want to make sure I'm able to make it.
Okay. Well, you're invited to drop by next month for ice cream if you are so inclined.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Right. Anything else there? All right. So next I see Terry Hoskins. I think I see him there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Terry.
Hello, Sonia. Thank you
Hi.
very much. Hello, everyone. I want to say thanks for everyone for joining in. It's great to see so many people, as always, on your guys' Zoom meetings. I do want to give a shout out quickly to Jennifer and Valon and Redwood Village, because I think it's great what she's getting ready to do for taking off with getting that community back up on target. So I really applaud her and her husband's effort in that. So Jennifer, thank you for that. It's been way overdue. thank you for taking that challenge. I also want to thank, if I could give a shout out again to the mayor and his staff. I think it's important that I appreciate Matt's detailed as much as he can in the time he has to do it. Speaking about the budget, I know that everybody believes that what they have is the most important thing going on in the mayor's office. And it must be extremely difficult to juggle those things. So I appreciate the mayor personally and then his staff for what they do and trying to work all that out. So Matt, if you'd just pass that on to him, I'd appreciate it. As far as your crime stuff for this past 30 days, you had one vehicle burglary. You had one vehicle theft, and you had a couple of vandalisms. Actually, you had one vandalism, and you had some assaults, but most of those were connected with some shape, form, or fashion to a domestic violence connection. If you have any particular questions about anything, please feel obviously to reach out to me directly. The majority of our complaints continue to be homeless, continue to be not so much the homeless or the behaviorisms, or perhaps the nefarious activities that they may be involved in, but more so the trash. When I got with MPD earlier on in the month, they had a contract issue with, and I think Stephen from ESD was also confirming this, that they had there was contract issues going back and forth with who was going to be cleaning up and that kind of stuff. And hopefully that'll get worked out. It may have already been worked out, but I know that delayed a lot of things. So hopefully that will start to work. I missed a lot of the very beginning talk, Lynn, you and Sonia had about the new park that in your area about, was it drinking in the parking lot? Or if you just want to get with me offline on some of that stuff and maybe the hours, and maybe I can kind of assist with some of that.
Okay.
And then last but not least, a great shout out to Sonia and Lynn and their entire group of helpers who did a fantastic cleanup on that creek to bay in Xena Canyon. Tremendous job. Kudos to every one of you. And I'm just, I appreciate you all very much. And
Right back
if you have
at
any
you.
questions.
Right back at you. We appreciate your participation. I mean, you stayed the whole time. We appreciated that for sure.
I enjoy it. Any questions for me, please? Sweet. I like when it's like this. Carl, you awake? Okay. I think he's awake.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Terry. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Love you guys.
You too. All right. I don't notice any more representatives. Am I missing anybody, Lynn?
No.
All right. So I guess we'll get an early start. I'm glad that our presenter is here. So I'd like to introduce Andrea De Leon, recycling specialist with the City of San Diego Environmental Services Department. Okay. And she's here to speak on the city's new organic waste recycling program. Welcome.
Thanks so much for the opportunity and invitation, first and foremost, to Lynn for inviting me. And just a quick mic check. Can everyone hear me and see my screen? Give me a thumbs up. All right, perfect. Thanks so much. My name is Andrea De Leon. I'm with the city's Environmental Services Department on behalf of the recycling team. And I'm a recycling specialist that oversees our education outreach programs. And I'm here to talk trash with you guys. I know I just heard the sergeant talking about trash and my colleague Stephen. Hopefully we'll be talking about another form of trash and hopefully diverting some other things like doesn't have to go to the landfill. But the opportunity that I have with you this evening is to share with you some new information about San Diego's and actually California's new organic waste recycling program. And we wanted to share this with you sooner than later, so that if you hear more things in the media, or if you're hearing things from neighbors, or if you're seeing some billboards and campaigns, but you'll be a little bit more familiar with what this program entails, for how you'll be changing a little bit of what you're throwing away. But also, I hope this begins a conversation so that when we have more details, specifically for households that are receiving collection pickup from my department, Environmental Services, that I can come back to provide more rollout details about that collection. But again, this is a conversation to begin, this introduction of this new program, and then we'll get into more details and come back. I'll go ahead and get started and say that if you're not already familiar with Environmental Services, you may know us as a department that, if you're looking outside, we're the collection truck that provides trash pickup, blue bin recycling, and for some homes, also green waste pickup with a green container. We're the department that also manages the landfill here directly within the city of San Diego at Miramar. We also process organic waste, currently for yard waste or greenery material, processing that into compost and mulch. But the reason why I'm here is that I want to talk about recycling. And when folks hear the word recycling, we usually typically think of like the blue bin recycling for paper and cardboard bottles and paper, bottles and cans and plastics. But another form of recycling is going to be what we call organic waste recycling. So I'll talk a little bit more about what organic waste means, but we're talking about this because starting this year, there's some new changes in rules, not only within San Diego, but California. And it's related to something called Senate Bill 1383. And that's a lot of jargon, but you can think of it as California's new mandatory law for all jurisdictions. So any city, town, county, it's now required that if a property generates organic waste, and it's going to be things I'm going to show in a minute of what exactly that is, but basically any food scraps, food soil paper, and garden and yard waste, there's a new opportunity to not have to throw it into the trash. And now all cities are required to recycle that into new material, like at a composting facility or anaerobic digestion facility, or to prevent food from being wasted in the first place, because we want to reduce what we send to the landfill because it's very wasteful, and there are other alternatives to turning that material into new and other things as well. And again, what I mean by organic waste is what you're seeing here on your screen. You could think of it as 3 different categories: food waste or food scraps, so any kind of leftover food or peelings, whether it's fruits and vegetables, baked goods, eggs, dairy, prepared food, but it's also food that has touched and has dirtied paper products, including paper bags, parchment paper, napkins, coffee filters, coffee grounds, but also what you're probably used to already is maybe like garden or yard waste. So grass, leaves, clippings, those materials as well. The idea is that all of these materials can go into one container, and we're essentially each city is speeding up the decomposition process and turning and recycling this material into something else that's good for the environment. And so what you may be seeing or maybe hearing more of are all the city's efforts to help put this all together. Because as you can imagine, it's a major infrastructure change where the things that are required to help process some material into new material requires trucks, it requires drivers, it requires a lot of education outreach that my team and I are involved in, also including to make sure that this is material and information is going to be translated into other languages as well to be accessible to all residents and businesses. It's amending our municipal code and ordering a lot of new containers that are going to be delivered to every household. So as you can imagine, it's a major undertaking for the city. And we also really want to make sure we do this right and we do this successful. And so some of the benefits for doing all of this is, one, it's supporting our climate action plan, right? Things that are sent to the landfill generate methane gas, which is a type of greenhouse gas that contributes to climate change, right? It's the warmer temperatures and drier temperatures that we're already feeling directly here in San Diego So, by sending things to a composting facility, it helps generate almost like a fertilizer, almost like material that goes back into the soil and helps provide nutrients into the soil. It helps retain the moisture in the soil. So it's really good for farmers and gardeners. All right, so again, creating the healthy soil that we need. It's also helping us get towards our zero waste goals in the city by 2040. And it extends the landfill life here in the city, because when we throw anything that's in the trash in San Diego, whether you're a business, a school, a resident, there is no special machinery or employees who are sorting through your trash before it goes to the landfill. It goes straight into the pit in the earth. It gets covered by more trash and soil, and it's gone forever. Right. So again, if there's other alternatives, we want to do the right thing to protect our environment, protect our community, and protect our future together. Right. So you're pumped up. You're like, Andrea, all right, I know this is good for the environment. What's next? How does this impact me? So all properties in San Diego, whether it's a business, multifamily property, homes, are now going to have or start seeing a new container that's separate from the trash and recycling to separate this organic waste. And so I briefly want to go over those different sectors so that I know that most of the folks on this call are mostly going to be residents, but in case you're having a workplace here in San Diego, that you're also familiar with this as well. So you can think of it for businesses as 3 different steps that essentially you're going to have a separate container inside a workplace. And this affects especially mostly restaurants and large food generating businesses like hospitality or grocery stores, where they're separating those food scraps into a separate container. They're emptying it into an outdoor bin, and it's getting picked up for weekly collection by a private waste hauler, such as Waste Management or EDCO or Public Services as some examples. For apartments and condos, now there's a separation for that, meaning that most homes who are considered apartments or condos or HOA are serviced by a private trash hauler. Example like Waste Management, EDCO, or Public Services as again examples. And then the other half of multifamily are serviced by my department, Environmental Services. So when it comes to private hauler service, it's going to be a very similar process like the businesses, except multifamily property owners and managers are required to contact a private hauler to sign up for service so that their residents or tenants can follow these 3 steps that you see on the screen here, so that if you have food scraps at home, you're able to go outside to a container to empty that out loose, so that can get picked up for weekly collection by a private hauler. So for those on the call, if you are a business or a multifamily owner, a manager, or maybe you're a tenant or an employee, if you're wondering what to do next when you need help, I want to share that we are available to help along with your private waste haulers. Please contact us if you don't already have this bin, so we can set you up for service. We can provide some education and training. Now, for the rest of the homes in San Diego, you may be wondering, what if I don't have a green bin now? Or if I do have a green bin, when am I going to be able to add food scraps? So for homes that are receiving collection service, again, from the Environmental Services Department, so that's my department, the plan is for all homes to have a green container if they don't already have one, like you see here on your screen. And the idea is that for all the materials, yard waste, food scraps, food soil paper, to all go into one container, and it's going to be planned for weekly collection. However, we're in progress of getting all those infrastructure and logistic plans in place of ordering containers, getting bins delivered. So when those are ready for your neighborhood or for your home, you'll receive plenty of notification in advance with mailers. Education will also be provided in different languages as well. We're also planning to provide virtual and in-person workshops so that folks can ask us more questions about what goes where. And also in your mailer, you'll receive a very specific calendar schedule so that you know what day to put out your container for pickup collection. Trash will continue to be weekly, and your blue bin recycling will also continue to be picked up every other week. And for homes, it's going to be also a 3-step process, similar to multifamily that you saw earlier, that you're going to collect things inside your home. We'll also be providing a free complimentary kitchen pail as well to help collect and make it easier if you want that as an option to help empty out into your outdoor green container. And again, it's going to be picked up weekly from my department. If your home already has a green container, we want to emphasize that you continue to only place yard waste and to only put food scraps when we provide notification in a mailer when your home is ready to start adding food scraps. So again, here's a great summary of kind of all those different potential systems that might be for different homes in San Diego. So again, if you don't have a green cart yet, you will be delivered one at no additional cost at this time. If you don't already have a green container, if you do have a green container, please continue to only put yard waste in there until notified. So again, we provided lots of notification in advance when you're ready for pickup with this new food scraps setup. But again, I know there's a lot of information and we definitely don't want it to be daunting. We want to make it as easy as possible. And we are very, very much here to help, whether you're a business, an apartment owner, or residential home. You can feel free to contact us for more information or talk through how to be in compliance. We also provide trainings and presentations for owners and for employees in multiple different languages besides English. And we also have educational handouts on our website. And so what you see on your screen here is my contact information, so that even if you have other general recycling or trash questions, you're more than welcome to email me. My email address is adeleon@sandiego.gov. Also on this screen here, also it has some additional websites. If you want to learn more about California's new organic waste recycling or just other general recycling information. But I want to say thank you so much for letting me talk trash with you this evening. And also, more importantly, thank you for something that's really exciting, that we get to be part of history of San Diego being the second largest city that's going to have this program in place, be part of history, the rest of California being the only state that has this major organic waste recycling collection program that's going to be mandatory. So we thank you in advance for being willing to try this out with us and being part of the change for our future. And with that, I'd welcome, if there's opportunity for time for questions, I welcome that. Any questions at this time?
I actually do have like a statement or question, if that's okay.
Sure, go right ahead, Sharon.
Okay, thanks. I've noticed sometimes that the trash employees, even though, you know, bless their hearts, they're doing a job that's, I couldn't imagine what they have to deal with. They're pretty rough on these bins. And I'm just wondering, with the green bins and it being such a smelly type of material that goes in there, if we could talk to them and have it, just let them know to be a little bit more careful and not beat up these bins to where they crack. And you know, it's, for some people, it's hard to replace that monetarily. So I was just kind of hoping, I just wanted to say that sometimes I see that they get pretty beat up, and I'm hoping they're a little bit more concerned with the green waste ones.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing concern. I know that the drivers are, sometimes it looks like they're shaking it pretty aggressively. They're trying to get everything out of the container. And that's also an opportunity of why we're also trying to share more information about recycling right and having things go in the right container, because when sometimes things get placed in the wrong container, it jams up the opening of the container, and they have to shake it harder, and that puts more stress, of course, on the containers. And I know that's not ideal for residents too, because if you have to replace the container, it does cost money. But I'll definitely note that with the drivers and share your concern about, especially when we have started adding food scraps, and it's not going to be in a plastic bag of any sort. They're going to want to shake it. But I know we're also wanting to make sure that we extend the lifespan of these containers as much as possible, because it does a lot of wear and tear over time.
Thank you very much.
I see Lynn has her hand raised.
Andrea, I frequently generate more than a single can of yard waste when I'm doing, you know, certain times of the year. Am I still going to be able to put out cans for yard waste, or must everything go into a single can weekly?
Yeah, good question, Lynn. So you can still place more than one container out. You know, essentially, we want to make sure that if you generate a certain volume of yard waste or food scraps, that you have the right containers. We know at this time we're only providing one container at minimum, because not everybody may need more than one container, depending on how much, again, food they're throwing away or yard waste. But yes, if you have more than one cart necessary and you need to order more, contact us so we can deliver that to you, or you can pick it up. But there's no limit of how many containers you push out for pickup.
Oh, okay.
And yes, you can add, once this new organic waste collection starts, you can mix the food scraps and the yard waste together all into one container. There's no need to separate. I know some folks like to separate things because maybe they don't, it's just convenient for them to only have a separate container, but it's also nice to actually mix it together because any leaves or branches might help soak up any food that might be a little wet or soggy still.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any idea when this will be rolling out in this area at all?
Yeah, it's a great question. We know that everyone's really eager to start because they're excited to do the right thing, but I don't have a specific date for your community yet. It also may depend route by route, depending on which truck. So your collection might be on a Wednesday, but your neighbor across the street from the corner might be on a Thursday, just because depending on how full the truck gets. So I don't want to overpromise and say that like specifically your neighborhood's starting like this week, but again, we're going to provide plenty of notification in advance once folks are ready to start. And I also would love the opportunity if I could reach back out to schedule a more specific presentation for residents once we're ready to start in your neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
Great. I see Catherine.
Yeah, I did have a question. Are you going to do a mailer in that mailer that you're going to send out? Or, I mean, because we get a mailer annually, from environmental services about, with a calendar on it and everything. But, I know that different counties, they have different things that they're recycling. I think some counties like the Imperial County, they're actually taking different stuff rather than just green waste. Are we just taking organic stuff like vegetables and things like that? Or what about oil? Or some people are talking about different kinds of things to put in that bin. So are you going to send out guidelines about what you can put in there?
Yes. So I heard two questions in there and I want to answer both of them.
Sorry.
No. I welcome, I'm here to talk trash. I welcome all the questions as much as possible. The first part, yes, are we sending out mailers? Yes, we will be sending out mailers separate from the annual newsletter that you receive at the end of December. You will get a letter letting you know more about the changes. It's going to be sent to everyone, all households. There's about 300,000 households in San Diego that we service. We'll get a letter. And then you're also going to get a packet of information that has a guide that has more helpful photos. It has more set out guidelines. It has tips of how to separate things to keep things tidy. It's going to have a lot more details than what you're even seeing on your screen here about very specific types of organic waste and if they're accepted or not accepted. We also have plans to have that material when it's mailed out available in English, Spanish, Tagalog, and Vietnamese as well, and then other languages upon request if needed. Because we know that maybe residents may prefer to communicate or understand information in another language other than English. So that will be mailed out. It'll also be available on our website as well, so that if you also search your address on Get It Done, that it will also pop up your mailer so that you can see what was mailed to you in case you lost it or want to reprint it out. And again, in that mailer, we'll also include a new calendar schedule that shows your pickup schedule for your new green container, along with your blue bin and your black bin as well. The second part of your question that I heard is just kind of, what are we accepting or not accepting that might be different from a place like Imperial County? That's a good point that not only Imperial County, but even our neighbors like the city of Chula Vista or the county of San Diego, there's a lot of similarities to what's accepted and not accepted in the blue bin or in this case, the new green bin. But every city is slightly different depending on who their hauler is and their service agreement with them and where things get processed. In this case, we are not going to be collecting used cooking oil curbside. I know some communities, they allow you to place into a container, put on top of the bin or batteries. In this case, we would much prefer for that to be dropped off. Unfortunately, don't have the capacity at this time with environmental services. But I will also put in the chat a website called Waste Free SD. It's a great resource so that if you are also ever wondering, like, what should I do with medicines, or I have this light bulb or clothing and you're not sure where to recycle it or dispose of it, you can just type in your zip code and it'll give you the closest location to drop it off or request for pickup, either at a cost or a complimentary service. So I'll also put that in the chat here after we're done. So hopefully that helps answer your question.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So Jerry?
So my question, Andrea, has to do with the bins. Are we going to have a choice in the size of the bins?
Yeah, good question. I know that space might be a concern for folks depending on the size, or I heard Lynn's question earlier about like the container quantity. That information will also be provided to you in your mailer about the size of the containers and if there's additional options for you to choose from. But unfortunately, I don't have that information at this time.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
All right. Thank you. I see ES. You're muted, ES. Oh, there you go.
Yes, my question is, I put a lot of my food waste in a garbage disposal. So how does that play into all of this?
Yeah, that's a good point. I know that garbage disposal can be a really convenient way when you're scraping off your plates and washing your dishes. We're not saying that you're not allowed to use your garbage disposal. You're still able to use it. We're just providing another alternative option that will really benefit our environment, because instead of sending those food scraps down your sink, which requires then a lot of energy and resources from the water department to have to separate the food from, or biosolids from your water, we can instead put this in the green container that then gets recycled and processed into almost like a fertilizer compost material that we can directly apply into the land for farmers and gardeners. So we want to encourage that once you get your new green bin with all that information that I shared earlier in the mailer, we'd love for you to start trying to pull up that photo again of my colleague scraping things into, or having what you see on the sink here, trying out the new kitchen pail that we're going to also provide to you for free, scraping into that pail and then instead placing into the green bin instead. So again, we hope that you consider please using our green bin container instead of putting food scraps down your sink for the garbage disposal. It also will help your garbage disposal from using so much wear and tear unnecessarily, right? We know that over time, if you put a pit or something hard in there that jams up the grinder, it can be expensive to replace. And instead, you can put your food scraps from your plate scrapings into this new kitchen pail.
Okay. We have a question on the chat. Will there be any pointers on how to keep animals out of the green bins?
Yeah, no, great question, right? We've see all the separated food. It looks like a feast for potential critters. And yes, we are going to provide tips on our website. We plan to also have videos. And also, again, it's going to be in the handout guide that we're going to mail to all residents. Tips how to keep critters out and also keep your container clean. But the best tip, whether it's for your green bin, your blue bin, or your trash bin, is to always keep the lid closed, right? By keeping your bin lid open at any time, even if it's in a bag, it's just an invitation for any critters to crawl in there and fish around and open up bags or look for food. So always keeping the lid closed at all times. If you're finding that for some reason, they're pretty heavy, they shouldn't be able to be lifted, but if for some reason you're having a critter that's opening it up still, even placing a heavy brick or something heavy on top of your lid so that something can't open it up. I've seen folks also even put like bungee cords to keep things closed. if for some reason they're in a really windy area or things are rolling around, but keeping your lid closed at all times is going to be the best tip, because critters, they won't discriminate what color container they're going to go to, whether it's the blue bin, the black bin, or the green. If it's open, it's an invitation. So, keeping your lid closed at all times is going to be really, really important.
Great. I see Mia.
I'm going to defer to Carl first because I saw his hand up before I did.
Okay, go right ahead, Carl.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Has anybody checked into the composition of the black bins? Because I'm getting ready to replace my black bin for the third time, but my recycle bin I've had for years and years and years, and it doesn't get damaged near as much as the black bins do. I think the black bins are just too hard, and when they pick it up, they just crush them.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Carl, for that question. So I moved to the slide because I was thinking about the composition of what's in your black bin, but what I'm hearing from you is more the composition of what the actual bin is made out of. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that you're experiencing some wear and tear. I mean, for any city, any container, over time, the bins are going to definitely experience some wear and tear from getting picked up, and depending on how full or heavy they get. We're also really hoping that by taking out what you're even seeing on the screen, about almost like 40% of what San Diego throws away in the trash is organic waste. And also, hopefully by putting less stuff in your trash bin and putting into other containers, it's going to be less heavy, less wear and tear again on your trash bins, because we're just moving it into different containers and kind of dispersing it. But I hear your concern, Carl, that the condition of the trash bins are maybe not as ideal as you'd like it to be. And I'm sorry for that.
So am I.
Okay, Mia.
Okay, so my question is it true that residents will be fined if they don't dispose their trash and put them in the correct bin? Because I remember reading, I think I read somewhere at the beginning of the year that residents will be fined. So I had this discussion with some friends and like, how would they even know? Would they go through our trash, or is there any truth to that?
Yeah, thanks for your question, Mia. There is a component for not just for residents, but as part of Senate Bill 1383, the California's requirement, there is an enforcement requirement for any type of property. However, what's going to be happening for residents who receive services from my department, we will be doing occasional we'll call it can checks or lid flip checks. We do this also not just for the green bin, but for the blue bin and black bins also as well. And we're not necessarily opening it and digging and opening everyone's bag. We're just kind of looking to see what's on top. And we're more so just going to be checking to make sure there's not any egregious contamination, meaning that when we open the green bin, we're not seeing a propane tank in there. We're not seeing bricks or large amounts of rocks that might not only damage the truck and the cart, but also not be, more importantly, not be safe for the drivers. You'd be surprised that we actually get, not just in San Diego, but throughout California, we have a lot of trucks that catch on fire because there are incorrect things that get placed in there, such as batteries, again, propane tanks, fuel. It's very dangerous once that truck explodes for anyone around it and for the driver itself. And even if we do see things that are incorrect at the top level of the container, what we're going to be providing are what we call oops tags. So we're going to provide a little tag that says, hey, we notice there's something incorrect in here. We're going to give you an opportunity for some education to know what goes into their container correctly. But if we keep seeing egregious high levels of contamination, that will more likely result in no collection, meaning that the driver will be notified to not pick up the cart because it's dangerous. And we're going to be asking the residents to correct and sort out what shouldn't belong in there, and then call back for the driver to pick it up at a later time once the issue has been corrected. Where the fines or potential citations will more so come from are for businesses and property owners who are not providing collection services at all for their properties. So it's again more so for again private hauler service properties where they're refusing to order service or provide access to their employees or tenants. That's again an opportunity for education where my team and I will offer assistance first, but after refusal of any assistance, offer of refusal of like a notice of violations, then our code enforcement team may then result in, again, a letter of notice of violation or a citation for that business owner or property owner if they refuse to comply with providing service that's adequate, again, for that building. So again, more so for the private sector, not so much for residents who are serviced by the city of San Diego, because the city is providing the containers. And again, we're also more so concerned about contamination. And again, we want to just work on improving the sorting with the residents. So I hope that helps answers your question.
To that point, I guess somebody's making a comment that what about people who put stuff in your trash when it's by the curb?
Yeah, if you're also noticing, I know that can be really frustrating. You know, you're doing the right thing, you're separating everything correctly, but somebody walks by and they throw, I don't know, a bag of fast food that doesn't belong in the recycling bin or your new green container. Our code enforcement team will be trained so that, and they also are trained actually right now. They, if it's something small and it's obviously doesn't look like it's coming from your home, like maybe someone, again, dumped something that has an address for another location, you know, they'll take a note of that. They know that they're not going to be issuing it, you know, and again, any citations for anything that's small like that. But if it looks very obvious, like it's coming from your home, again, it's going to be a tag, or we're going to say, hey, we're noticing something that doesn't belong here. Can you please correct it? But again, if it's something minor, we're not really tagging for that. We're looking more for really egregious, big problems, like someone throwing a couch, or again, like paint or other hazardous materials that shouldn't belong in the container. And if you're also seeing, or if you know who's doing that for your container repeatedly, and if you want to give an anonymous tip to our department, please let us know and we can look into it. We won't share your name. Especially if you have an address. We've seen that in a couple of instances where folks they know specifically who's dumping it, and our code enforcement team can look into that situation for you.
Any other questions? Don't notice any more in the chat. Well, thank you very much, Andrea. Appreciate it. That's very informative. I look forward to that bin. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we really, I appreciate again the time, and I just shared with my contact information and some websites. I also will type in the waste-free that I just mentioned. But again, yeah, I hope to come back soon to provide more details once we're ready to do the residential pickup in your neighborhood.
For sure, for sure. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I'd like to say great presentation. Thank everyone for showing up, and we hope to see you at the Ice Cream Social next month.
Right.
At the Rolando Park School.
Can I just jump in real quick too? We do have a fundraiser next Tuesday at Woodstocks, and Michelle just verified for me that beer and wine are included in proceeds to us. So if you're inclined to do a happy hour or take the family for an outing, please go to Woodstocks on Tuesday and support the community council. Okay, thanks.
Well, thank
Bye,
you,
everyone. Bye, everyone.
You guys have a good
Thank you, Terry.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Andrea. That was great. That was really good.
Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys for putting all the meetings together.
Sure.
Thank you.